Now, today we're diving into the critical areas of entrepreneurship, innovation, and the immense power of human ingenuity, especially when facing the wicked problems in a world of uncertainty.
The reality is that there are things that are changing consistently now. The population is aging. We are seeing different places in which we manufacture. It used to be a lot of exporting, a lot of importing. Obviously, we're shoring a lot of the things that we do now.
To drive meaningful change, organizations need to first identify the core challenges that are holding them back and causing that disruption.
They think of longer term trends, but not the macro trends, the ones that are impacting everybody. So what I do is I start to introduce that skill set to them through very simple exercises.
If you're facing daunting challenges in your organization, then please remember that understanding the nature of your problems and building a capable, adaptable team are key to finding breakthrough solutions. This is Maheen and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we explore these strategies and mindsets that empower entrepreneurs to navigate complexity and drive innovation. Now, today we're diving into the critical areas of entrepreneurship, innovation, and the immense power of human ingenuity, especially when facing the wicked problems in a world of uncertainty. Now, recent trends, they highlight the challenges organizations they face in adapting to rapid change and finding truly innovative solutions. This discussion will provide valuable insights into identifying complex challenges, developing capable teams, and leveraging empathy and insights for success. And to do that, joining us is Ken Tencer, the Curator of Say Hi to the Future, a global community dedicated to helping leaders think differently in the face of ambiguity and tackle wicked organizational and social challenges. So today we'll discuss entrepreneurship, innovation, human ingenuity. Without a further ado, let's welcome our guest, Ken. Ken, we're very pleased to have you on the show today. How are you?
Thank you. Very good today. Thanks.
Very pleased to have you with us. Again, we'd love to open our discussion with understanding and identifying something that I also mentioned in my intro, the wicked challenges. Because leaders, they often encounter complex problems, but really understanding the true nature of these challenges is key to finding effective solutions. You speak about wicked challenges. Can you first help our audience understand what a wicked challenge is and then explain how leaders can learn to identify the type of challenge they face, whether it's tame, complex, or truly wicked, within their own organizations?
Sure. Well, wicked challenge is one with great uncertainty or ambiguity where you don't have all of the answers that you need. So at some point you have to take a leap and make that decision, with incomplete information. And when you think about it, we talk a little bit about macro trends as well, or we will talk about that. The reality is that there are things that are changing consistently now. The population is aging. We are seeing different places in which we manufacture. It used to be a lot of exporting, a lot of importing. Obviously, we're shoring a lot of the things that we do now. And these are some fundamental changes to pretty much every country, every civilization at the same time. And those are what create the wicked challenges. It's not the day-to-day, or it's not even the introduction of the internet. It's these massive shifts that are impacting every single one of us. And by way of a very simple explanation, you look at human resources. Simple challenge is somebody leaves, maybe an accounting assistant, a receivables clerk, and you go out and you hire them because you already have the job description ready.
Mm-hmm.
A complex one under HR, well, something new is created, like the internet. So all of a sudden we need SEO and SEM, we need coders. So we need to first figure out who those new 3, 5, 20 people are that need to be on our team.
Right.
But once we've done that, we codify that. And, just like the simple, somebody quits, you rehire, you've got the job description. But what happens when the population is aging? People do not want to live in the center of major cities like Toronto anymore. They want to live further away. So it impacts, who you can hire, how you can hire. And that, again, you tie the two together, the population is aging, so youth become the drivers of our workforce, and yet they don't want to be downtown.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wicked challenge because you're going to have to figure out a lot of details that are impacting you at once, and they will change over time. So you'll take a snapshot now and say, this is the best resolution as a hiring manager today, but in 6 to 12 months, those shifts will keep going. So you're gonna have to take another snapshot, and you'll never be completely solved or solution. That's why I say resolution.
Got it. That's a very important distinction, and it sounds like accurately identifying the nature of a problem is the first crucial step towards effectively addressing it. Now, Ken, let's dive into how leaders can build and empower teams to effectively address these complex issues, because building the right team is crucial when tackling complex, interconnected challenges. Once a wicked challenge is identified, how do leaders assess and develop a team that has the capacity to resolve such complex problems?
So it's interesting. When I work with leaders now, they look at skill set and they think, oh, I need HR, I need ops, I need finance. These are the traditional ways of looking at it. But what I look for now is the capacity to work with the unknown, to work with the uncertain, to work with the ambiguous. And the amazing thing is, in my experience, people are born with the capacity to be creative or to be innovative, to think differently. But we haven't been taught how to do that. We haven't developed the skill set to do that. So when you're developing a team, one, there actually is a wonderful tool, a wonderful diagnostic that we use that actually tells you how qualified people are at dealing with ambiguity, how comfortable they are. And that's absolutely critical because it gives you a starting point. Doesn't mean that they're good or bad or they can't or shouldn't be on your team. It means we have a starting point and we can develop SMART goals around it. And when you show that to team leaders, where the different people on their team sit, you get these incredible aha moments, meaning, oh, okay, we need to do this. We want to do this, but our team is not prepared. And immediately it expands their world past, again, HR or finance or ops to how we think, how we approach a challenge, and how open we are to ambiguity or uncertainty. Because as we've seen, we've been presented innovation teams that have been developed on, the traditional scheme or approach of, choosing people you believe might be ready to think differently. But when you assess them, they're in fact not. They will be hitting a wall, and your organization will be hitting a wall, because when it comes down to coming up with that resolution, to taking that jump or that leap to this is what we know, this is what we don't know, but we need to make a decision. Teams will freeze if they aren't open to the uncertainty, the ambiguity being presented to them.
That's a very powerful approach, and it's clear that the right team with the right capabilities and mindset is essential for tackling highly ambiguous and interconnected problems. Listeners, if you're facing daunting challenges in your organization, then please remember that understanding the nature of your problems and building a capable, adaptable team are key to finding breakthrough solutions. Now let's get back to our conversation with Ken and explore the critical impact of external factors. Now, Ken, let's shift our focus to understanding human elements that can play a crucial role in shaping successful outcomes. Because leaders, they must recognize the external and internal factors that influence decision making. You highlight the critical impact that macro trends, empathy, and biases as a barrier, and what you call the wince moments play in organizations' success or failure in resolving challenges. Can you please kind of elaborate on these elements and how leaders can leverage them for better outcomes?
Yes, so our process and our research has gone a lot further in terms of, not just a skill set, but the mindset and what you need to look at to resolve a wicked challenge. Talked a little bit about macro trends, those longer term things like aging out of the population, etc. Then we get to empathy, and people go, okay, empathy, I got it. Everybody in the room should feel great about asking a question. Don't be afraid. Has nothing to do with empathy. It's not even in the same ballpark. Empathy is putting yourself in the place of others. So if you've got HR and ops and marketing and finance in the room, what are they feeling? How does this impact them? Then you've got to go externally to How will this impact your supply chain, your sales chain, your customer? It's really about knowing and understanding and playing roles in the process that you're not employed to do. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone. So you go, okay, there's actually 5 or 6 ways to look at this, 5 or 6 people that'll be impacted. I can't just think in my own head. Biases is a barrier. I mean, I think to me, they're the biggest barrier. You know, you're working with people or working with C-suite or executive teams. What are your barriers? It's time and money. Sure, got it. Biases, how you look at things, how you hear things. A simple nod by one of your bosses across the room that signifies to you, no, they like that one, I better go with that. Those are biases that can completely take you away from great decision making or optimal decision making. And we actually take people, you know, we build teams where as little as possible do you have that interconnection, not until later in the process, because anything that can throw you off can throw off the future of your organization. Wince moments. So I was doing my doctoral research in human ingenuity, and I start watching these people that I'm interviewing from around the globe. So there's this old saying, watch my feet, not my mouth. And the implication there is, look at what I'm doing, not what I'm saying. And the wince moment for me was just sort of one level more. I could watch them over camera and they just sort of tense up. You can see that look in their face and their body where you've mentioned something that they might have not have said to you as the critical point to address, but their body and their emotions are going, okay, we've got to double click on this because it's a key impactor on why we're here today.
That's a very insightful look into the human and external factors that profoundly influence success. And it sounds like a deep understanding of these elements can truly inform better decision making. We'll take a quick break and then don't go nowhere, because when we'll be back with more insights from Ken.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue a conversation with Ken on how organizations can tackle their biggest challenges. Now let's dive into how organizations can pinpoint and address specific challenges hindering their growth, because to drive meaningful change, organizations need to first identify the core challenges that are holding them back and causing that disruption. Ken, for organizations that are listening, what advice do you have for them to identify a specific wicked challenge that is currently impacting their own operations or strategic direction? And what kind of internal assessment should they undertake?
Well, I think it actually goes back to the macro trends discussion again. It's something that I started running around just pre-pandemic and mostly in the pandemic with hundreds of organizations or hundreds of groups. And I could not believe how many CEOs had not thought about or were not introduced to the concept. They think of longer term trends, but not the macro trends, the ones that are impacting everybody. So what I do is I start to introduce that skill set to them through very simple exercises of what's going on, what's happening in our world, completely unrelated to business. And we say, okay, put up a chart of these 20 or 30 things. Again, the aging, the reshoring, sustainability, climate change, and say, how can that affect you? And let's map it out. I mean, don't just say, okay, climate change, and then somebody comes up with a policy, or diversity, and somebody comes up with a DEI policy. How can it truly impact you? Going back to empathy, how can it impact you, your supply chain, your customers, everybody along the road? And all of a sudden you start going, okay, here's a problem, here's an opportunity. And you're looking 1, 3, 5 years down the road. And to me, it's just been incredibly eye-opening to people. And the pandemic itself was incredible. The pandemic may or may not be a macro trend depending on how health evolves. But the point that something impacted within a month or so all 8 billion people around the world in plus or minus the same way, that was a shock to the system. That was a shock that said, we've got to sit back and look for other things, not just health related, but other things that might impact our global system, and then break it down to what it does to our business. I run a small business. We deal mostly with mid-sized organizations, but it impacted me profoundly. And it pushed me to become more online, more, AI, generative AI type of thing focused, how to bring it into my organization to respond more quickly. So, boy, if you just learn to look a little bit further ahead, with your head tilted to maybe a different angle, there's so many opportunities that you can bring back and bring that new or different layer element of brainstorming to your organization.
Well, that's a very actionable piece of advice, Ken. Thank you for sharing that. And it really pinpoints the core, which is interconnected problem is clearly the starting gun for the meaningful change. Now, let's explore the entrepreneurial journey and the resilience that is needed to overcome obstacles in businesses, because entrepreneurship, it is a journey filled with constant learning, and you have such a wealth of experience as an entrepreneur. As we wrap up now, Ken, what are the overarching lessons have you learned about resilience, adaptation, and the role of human ingenuity throughout your entrepreneurial journey, especially when facing turbulent times?
Well, I'll take it back to my values as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for decades now. So I have passion, savage curiosity, and the audacity to make a difference. And passion for me right now is a whole human belief. And you have to be passionate about what you're doing. And I know a lot of, you hear that a lot, but I've had businesses that I've been passionate about, like this one, and those that I wasn't so passionate about. We did fine because I had bills to pay, but I didn't enjoy it, and I ultimately exited it. Savage curiosity, you have to be asking questions continuously to push ahead, to get ahead at every level. From again, we can go back to the tame, the complex, or the wicked challenges. You always have to be exploring. And audacity to make a difference means you really believe in yourself. You believe in what you're doing. And the reality is, as an entrepreneur, very few people will believe in you at the beginning. A lot of people will think you've got a good job, you're supporting your family. In my case, we had our first child on the way when I started my first business, and car leases and mortgage, and boy, a lot of people called me an idiot. And may have been fair, I don't know, but the truth is, you get that a lot. And you need to be, and this is where I get back to your point on resilience, you need to be resilient. You need to know that you're going to get up in the morning and something might look great and be working well, and 10 minutes later it can all be falling apart because of a phone call. And it doesn't matter, because at noon you better have it back on track again. So passion, savage curiosity, the audacity to make a difference, and to me those add up to resilience and potentially successful entrepreneurship.
Well, that reflects a very deep understanding of the entrepreneurial spirit, really emphasizing the ongoing learning and the tenacity that is required. But thank you so much, Ken, for sharing your expertise and your profound insights with us today. Your practical advice on navigating such uncertainty and leveraging human ingenuity is truly valuable for our listeners. and we appreciate the time that you took to join us. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And that was an insightful conversation with Ken Tencer, the curator of Say Hi to the Future, on understanding the resolving wicked challenges, building effective teams, and leveraging macro trends and empathy for entrepreneurial success. Please, Say Hi to the Future is a global community dedicated to helping leaders think differently in their face of ambiguity. We also want to highlight that Ken's Ingenious Thinkers podcast was recently ranked number 68 in the innovative category by 1 million podcasts. Again, thank you for tuning into the podcast. We really appreciate your continued support. Please be sure to subscribe to our podcast by visiting our website, CanadianSME.ca, for more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. A special shout out before we let you go to our partners RBC, UPS, A1 Global College, and Google for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, please keep innovating and striving for success. We'll see you in the next episode.